Hey! Everybody get up! Everybody get up! Yeah, welcome to Anita Vita Rise. Alright, everybody. Welcome. It's Anita Vita Rise. Anita Vita Rise. Yeah. Anita Vita Rise. Yeah. Anita Vita Rise. Yeah. Who can make it better? Anita Vita Rise. In all types of weather, Anita Vita Rise. Get you back together, Anita Vita Rise. Go send her a letter, Anita Vita Rise. Anita Vita Rise. Anita Vita Rise, yeah. Anita Vita Rise, yeah, yeah. Anita Vita Rise.
Welcome to Rise with Anita Vita. I am your host, Anita Vita, master medical Qigong teacher and healer. I am so grateful and thankful you're here with me today. As you know, this show aims to amplify women's voices, have them share their stories so that they become a ripple effect of healing in this world. Today's guest is super duper special. She's an amazing woman. She's raw, she's real, she's funny. And I'm so excited for you to meet her. She is the co-owner of Créme LA, a super dope entrepreneur. Please help me welcome Kristine De La Cruz to the show, everybody.
Hi. I was like, what if the music was on? I'm like, Anita Vita Rise.
Hey.
I love it. It's awesome.
Oh my goodness, girl. How are you?
I'm good. I mean, all things considering, everything going on in the world, stressed out. When I listen to the news and seeing people are still not wanting to get vaccinated or just protect the health of the community, it just makes me feel like, okay, I'm just gonna, be appreciative that I'm still here. I'm still with people I love. Everyone I love is still healthy and good. I'm good.
Thank you for starting off with that gratitude, even though all the things is happening.
Yeah.
And, this month we're kicking it off with celebration. So what are you celebrating in this moment?
I'm celebrating just recognizing that I'm thankful that we're talking about, appreciation and kind of, I'm going to step back. Like a couple months ago, I don't know what happens every year. Every year I get a little bit, I don't know if it's seasonal type of depression or like a seasonal, not even necessarily with the weather, but like, in the nature of our business, it's just like, a little bit of a slower time of the year. So I don't know if someone said, just call it burnt out. I'm like, oh yeah, I guess that's what it is. I get burnt out like once a year, specifically for a duration of time. And I just really, then what picks me back up is like, girl, you're still around. You're like, you have family that loves you. You're like, you're lucky to be doing what you've always wanted to do. And you're lucky that you're able to have a good team that, that supports you. But mostly I think it's just like recognition that, man, at the end of the day, there's nothing I need anymore. I don't need more, but I'm happy to receive anything that comes my way. I'm happy to receive anything that comes. So as opposed to feeling like, oh, when there's a new business, like, oh, I have to go make another delivery. I'm like, no, I'm going to receive that. I'm going to receive that blessing and receive it. Like, even though it does add more work, but that's work that I would have loved to have like 10 years ago when we first started. So I always have to kind of go back and think about, everything that we're doing, there's a reason why we went through some challenges, and I'm just happy that we're still here and being able to do what we have to do.
Right. What's that?
Did that answer the question?
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. And tell everybody what you do and what the deliveries are about.
My name is Kristine De La Cruz. I am the co-founder of Créme LA. We're a Filipino-American custard dessert bakery, and we specialize in both Filipino and American flavorways, but we're really trying to introduce the type of desserts. Oh, that's a picture of me from the farmers markets. And we had started out at farmers markets for the first 2.5 years. We got started in 2010, and then we opened up our store in 2013. And this is not something we have officially announced, but we're actually we're moving our retail store like around the corner. So it's going to be a bigger space, but we're like just expanding our production side of the business. But we're in wholesale and retail. And we also launched a pudding line at the local Whole Foods around our area. So we're trying to get into Whole Foods with the pudding, but then we're really trying to go in there with our leche flan. So hopefully we'll see leche flan on the deck soon.
That's so exciting. You are expanding so much. And you don't only have the one store, you have 2 other locations that you recently opened as well, no?
Yeah, and it's locations like in quotes, it's like the ghost location. So we have the ability to sell through the ghost kitchen in Orange County in Anaheim and also in Hollywood. So as the pandemic has shown, customers' expectations are different. So they're no longer like hesitant about ordering delivery or going to a place that necessarily is not a retail shop anymore. So we wanted to be able to build on that and knowing as much as we can try to future proof our business, trying to figure like, oh, well, what if there's another pandemic, or what if the pandemic never ends? And there's another surge of, variants, and what can we do to keep on continuing our business? Because we kept on going throughout the whole pandemic. We only closed for I think a few days at the very beginning of shelter in place. And then we also, a couple times when there was exposure to someone who tested positive, but for the most part, we just kept on going. And I had this conversation with with Mo over at Kindness Mischief in Highland Park, and we were talking about it all. We've been kept on going, that we haven't had that time to kind of not grieve, but just kind of that feeling, like get in our feelings about, oh yeah, this is a worldwide thing that's happening. And, so many people are being affected. We're just kind of like, let's just keep our business going. Let's just keep our business going, but not really thought about how how we were impacted outside of the business. So, but despite that, we kept on going with what we have built over the last 10 years, and just thankful that it's the support of the community in Sherman Oaks, but also the support of the people that we've met over the last 10 years, have continued to be there for us. So we're really grateful for that.
Right. So going back to, you said you were feeling a bit more burnt out, or you didn't even know what the word is, right? Yeah. And it sounds like it's coming from you being nonstop since that happened, because you had to do so many pivots. So have you stepped back a little bit just to see if it is grieving for you that something needs to kind of purge or make space for? Have you made any ways towards that way? I
think the last time we talked, we've been doing 7 days a week for like the last 6 years. So it's like 7, getting up in the morning, 2:00, sometimes 3:00, we get an extra hour. So, but that was prior to the pandemic. And then during the pandemic, we were still 7 days, but we got to sleep in a little bit. We got to wake up at 3 and 4. So it was like a little bit later, but still, early days. But it wasn't until this year, thankfully, despite the pandemic, our business kept on growing and thriving. But what carried with that is that we had to do a whole bunch of staff changes, because some people didn't want to come back because of COVID, and I totally respected that. And at the same time, we also had just the normal changes and stuff. So we never had a full team, and I know that a lot of other businesses are having that issue too with the labor force. But because we've really concentrated on really trying to build our team in the front of house and in the back of house, we finally have been able to get the weekends off, but meaning like we don't have to wake up at 2 and 3. We basically wake up at 6 and maybe make a delivery. So it's not like completely off. And then I had the person who I haven't seen my physical therapist like since the beginning of the year. So I went to see her because I had some like shoulder pain, and she's like, "Did you actually take a vacation like this year?" I'm like, "No." Well, is a vacation like more than 2 days? Because we took 2 days off. We went to Los Alamos, and that was wonderful. And but you know, we haven't actually taken a vacation. But I know that. And I know my personality is in general like go. Let's just keep on going. Let's just keep on moving. But I also know that my energy cells like deplete, and then when it's depleted, I'm like no good to anyone, and I'm just basically let's watch TV for a whole weekend. You know, like it's that's kind of like how I. So I mean, to answer your question, have I coped with like, you know, what I felt was like depression? It just kind of goes away, which I know is not addressing it. So, which makes me feel like if I don't really bring attention to it, that it could potentially happen again next year. And I can, you know, theorize the reason why I feel like that. It's like, you know, it's the slowest time of the year. So in my mind, I'm like, is anyone going to come back? Is the business going to fail this month? Even though every year, July is the slowest time of the year. But in my mind, I'm like, they're not going to come back. Even though I know they're going to come back, it's okay. Everyone's on vacation. And so it's, I don't know. I guess I'm able to pick myself up, but I don't think I've actually given myself that opportunity to, or like told myself, yeah, it's okay to feel like this. It's just kind of like, why do I feel like this? You know, as opposed to like feeling like it's okay to feel like that, and then push it. Right. I don't know.
It totally makes sense. I think a lot of us can relate to judging how we are supposed to feel because of the expectations we feel like we should have, right? And I'm similar to you. I'm very fiery too, and I'm like go until I burn like the last of all of my energy, and then I'm the same as you, like I'm no don't good like you. Like, let me a couch potato. And I think we learned by now, right, the pattern. And the thing is, I was sharing this with somebody else, another girlfriend I was talking to. It's like, well, if you already know you're going to burn out, why don't you do something to kind of pause, to stay full, so it becomes sustainable? And I'm like, I haven't figured out that formula yet, because I know when I'm at my best. So I'm going to let that ride until it starts to, you know, pull at me. Now, granted, I think I just had to be okay with it and be like, not self-identify with like the deep crying and the disconnect that I have to do, and be okay with it. And so you know, we have to give ourselves that permission to just be okay with being us. Like that, if that is your process and it's something you've been doing for 6 years, then great. However, if you're noticing now, right, you're also continuously expanding, which means there is some type of pivoting that we must do in order to now have that bandwidth to serve at that capacity.
Right.
So then you start looking into, okay, you know, do I need a little bit more support? When whatever that looks like, it's not necessarily therapy. It's not, you know, maybe 3 days of vacation rather than 2, you know, everybody's different, and whatever it is for you, to put it on your calendar right before the season change, especially when, you know, like November. And I'm sure a lot of people feel that. I know winter season for me, like, sucks. And even though I know it's not my slowest time, it's just internally, I'm built that way. And so how do I set it up for better success or better recovery, you know? And I think having these conversations with people who know what you're going through, who's also an entrepreneur, who understands, when you really share your stories with each other. And sometimes it could be just a simple like SOS text of like, can you just tell me I'm doing fine? Or I just need a quick 1 minute. Can you just pour into me for 1 minute? I don't want to talk. Can you just be like, I'm amazing. I'm about to make my own sound bites, girl. Who knows?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, absolutely.
Pep talk.
Yeah. As opposed to GIFs, like, yes. like send little bites like to someone on text that's like, yeah, you're amazing. You keep on doing what you're doing.
You, boo.
That would be wonderful.
We're still breathing.
I know.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, you everything you're saying, I completely, I agree with, and I understand, and I know that it's. I mean, you talk about going to therapy and like having someone just, or not even you said as an option you could go to therapy. I always think about how how do I approach going to therapy? Like, is it something that I'm going to go like, oh, like they have those online ones now, or is it just like really just talking to someone else? Because I feel like I love my family. My family always asks about our business and, but I really don't feel like I can get in with them. And at the same time, I do meet up with like our fellow, entrepreneurs and small business owners every once in a while, but I haven't done that in a while. And in my mind, I'm all thinking, oh, I don't have time for that. I don't have time for, I don't have time to do this because I have to do this. And, I just kind of make excuses for helping my mental health. Yeah. And I'm thinking, okay, well, what I'll do, and this is like, it's just case in point, what I did in the last couple months, like, trying to get out of that funk, was I was obsessively reading lots of books and then buying the Audible, so I never had to stop listening to the book, and it was just like fiction books. It's like it's just all beach reads. It's nothing like that's like self-help or anything, and it's just like I probably read maybe like 50 books in the last like 3 months, just obsessively just listening.
Wow.
Just because I think it's part of me losing myself in a story. Yeah. And it's easier for me. It puts that takes away that pressure of like having to think. Because I don't know. And I didn't know this for some people. Like I'm assuming you were like this, but correct me if I'm wrong. If you're by yourself in the car, no music on, do you think in your head? Like, I mean, do you like say things that you're like, okay, I have to do this, or do you hear music in your head? Like I'm listening to it. Like there's a word for it. I forgot. Like I read an article about like how like there's like, I'll just go through my day. And one of the things that's a case in point is if my boyfriend is talking to me, but there's already a thing going on in my head. Like, oh, I have to do this. I'm like, I'm already thinking about something else. Then he's like, did you just hear me? I'm like, I totally didn't even hear you because there's other things going on in my head. And then he's like, he didn't understand that. And I found out that it's a thing. It's like some people's brains are just constantly going, and but they don't know how to put the pause to be able to concentrate on another person having an actual conversation outside of the head. I don't know. That sounds weird. But
no, that's true. Yeah. Say that again.
Does that make sense to you?
Yes, it actually is normal for women.
Yeah.
We have the 10 to-do lists. Yeah, it's a very feminine aspect of ours. I want to get more deep into this and share my take, as well as get more insight from you. Mm-hmm. And before I do, I'd love to just share some gratitude to our sponsors for today. What's up, family? I am Anita Vita, Master Medical Qigong teacher and healer. I believe that nurses deserve to be nurtured as much as they give. As a high-performing woman myself, I coach women how to overcome chronic gut pain so that they have total freedom in their life through the practice of medical Qigong. In 2011, while working as a nurse in the post-anesthesia unit, I experienced severe burnout, and it expressed itself as IBS, or irritable bowel syndrome. Discovering this practice allowed me to eradicate this gut disease completely and naturally through meditation alone. The slow, mindful movements of medical Qigong are potent and transformational, recalibrating your cellular structure by cultivating your body's natural energy and healing source called Qi. Today, I coach and empower women to achieve the same result through private and group programs, workshops, and retreat experiences to awaken you to your truth and be the highest version of yourself. If you're still in pain, you've tried everything, and you're sick and tired going from doctor to doctor with only prescriptions and strict diets as solutions, fear no more, my friend, because you have found me. Send me a message right now at anita@nacionvita.com and we'll get you to rise out of that pain, guaranteed.
Mafe Management is a company dedicated to empowering individuals and businesses in entertainment, special events, talent management, content creation, digital and traditional marketing, and public relations, in working together to turn their dreams into reality. Get one step closer to elevating yourself and your business by contacting hello@mafemanagement.com. Let us empower you.
Now let's get back to the show. Okay, so here's the thing. So it's known as like having that monkey mind.
Yeah.
And because I believe you're a very peak performer too. The high performing women who just needs to get stuff done. And because we tend to just habitually have 10 things ahead of us that we have to click, if we don't have any help, then you're the only one who, you're going to rely on you.
Yeah.
So I've experienced that many times when I'm not being mindful or I'm tuning people out. So I actually had to practice it. I had to learn how to do it. And again, it didn't happen just overnight. I had to be diligent with like, hey, okay, work is over. I have to close my laptop. And if it goes to the point of me having to take off certain apps and notifications, like start to see where certain distractions are coming from. And then you can kind of hone in on like, oh, I'm not paying attention to this person. Or if it's your boyfriend, I was like, maybe take that time. If it's in the car, quality time, I don't know, whatever it is for you. But, and women have different seasons too. So what I mean by that, it was through our menses cycle. We're different at every cycle. And there's 4 phases of it. We're not going to get into it here. Mm-hmm. That'll be another table talk. And, there's times where we really are as energized, and other times where we ebb and flow. And it's like, no, it's our lowest point. And if I just don't want to have the conversation with the person I'm with, because I'm noticing I can't be mindful and be present with them, then I just say so. Like, hey, can you ask me that question later? Because I don't think I can't answer it right now. Again, and it just takes practice. It's you really getting to know yourself on how to lead with that. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's such a shitty feeling to hear. It's like you weren't listening to me. It's like, oh, I didn't know you were listening. You were talking to me, and I feel bad because it's like, I'm not trying to ignore anyone, and my sister is the one who's like, actually one, like she, and Sean thought it was him. He's like, I was just doing it to him. Well, no, I do this to everyone. So you're not the only one I'm listening to. I listen to. So, but that being said, it's kind of like, I feel like, okay, he's pointed that out. So let me make a more conscious effort to really pay attention. But what you pointed out about having to say, like, if my mind is going, I was like, let me talk to you in a second, let me just kind of settle my mind a little bit, or I can't answer this right now. Cause I feel like, I'm expected to answer questions right away, like all the time. Like if I get a text from an employee, I'm always like answering right away. If it's a text from a customer, I'm always like, I'm answering them right away. But we mentioned before, before the show started, I was like, I have 85 emails, but I have to be okay not responding right away when I'm in a better mindset. And also it's like, after 6, no one's going to be looking for their catering order at 8:00 at night. So they can wait till tomorrow during work hours.
Yeah. It sounds like setting boundaries.
Yeah.
That's something I definitely always have to practice. Because then it gets away from us, when you're just saying yes, we naturally support, we're we're in service. So constantly it's like, okay, here you go. Or let me answer, let me do. And then at the end, right? We collect all of it, and when it comes all together, it becomes burnout and symptoms of burnout, right?
Yeah. But I mean, just what you do, like, with this show and everything that you do in your practice too, it's like you put so much of that energy out because that's what you do. That's you give that energy out, and because you want to give your whole self to whatever, comes in front of you. And I feel like I do that too with our store, where everything is like, if I work front of house, I'm giving a lot of that energy, but I can't work front of house all the time, because if I give all that energy, I have nothing, again, I have nothing left. And the thing is, I'm already running on a reserve, and having to figure out like how much more can I last this week. And I never thought I would do this, but because we have the weekends off, not having to wake up early, I look forward to that. And I'm like, oh, I get to sleep in. Except now we have to train. And so we're still working on the weekends again. So it's kind of like going back and making precious these, the time that I do get to have for ourselves, but not think of it as being like a strange thing or something, but having something that I am putting this first. This is what we are setting aside. Like this year's the first year we usually take Thanksgiving Day off, but we're going to take the day after Thanksgiving off. And since Christmas lands on a Saturday this year, we're going to make it a 3-day weekend for our store. And we'll just close those 3 days. And it's part of it is because, especially after this whole, and this year too, because we know January is so slow, we're just going to close for a week. We closed the shop for a week. We told all of our wholesale customers we're not delivering that whole week. So we actually had a week off of the store. And it's, I feel like, if our overall goals are to make sure our staff is paid well, they get time with their families, we respect their time outside of the store, that they are able to contribute to the store, and, in ways that are just not just doing the work, but also, if any suggestions or anything that we can make the environment a little bit better. I would be okay having this just one store where we can do everything and still be able to take time off and have the excuse oh, we're going to take a week off, and everyone will be okay with it because that's just what we're going to do is you're going to take a week off of the store and not have to worry about anything else outside of that. I think while it would be nice to be able to build and, keep on doing, more and more, I feel like at the end of the day, I was telling this to Shanti. I'm like, you know what? We may not be millionaires, but as long as we have enough money to put away for our retirement so that we can save and be able to feel comfortable about all of our future goals and stuff, and then be able to put that away and invest and be able to not have to worry about when we're older and in retirement age, then that's all I want. I don't need a big house. I don't we live in Silver Lake, but we live in an apartment that my friend owns, and we'll live here forever. We don't want a lot of things. We just want to be able to keep on doing what we're doing for as long as we can. So I want to celebrate that, tying it back to celebration.
Yeah. Sweet. So are you so did you schedule vacation on your schedule for this time for yourself?
No, well, we just talked because Sean's family lives in Maryland. So because he usually goes over there during Christmas. I'm like, maybe because I haven't actually gone to visit them for the holidays since we started opening the store in 2013. So, but he usually goes back home. Yeah. So he goes back every year, except for last year during the pandemic. But this year, I might be there for a couple days. It's going to be a 3-day vacation. So 1 day longer than we had earlier this year. We're slowly.
Nice. So I know in you building your business, I know how passionate you are about your baby. So how do you stay resilient, and what keeps you going to keep it going?
I think it's knowing that we are employing some really great people, and knowing that, and that's part of the reason why we stayed open during the pandemic, was because we're like, it's not because we were worried about, the store. Like we just want to make sure we have enough sales to pay our staff. We just want to make sure the staff is always going to be, has a paycheck, and they're always, feeling secure in during that whole time. So I think it's motivation that, we have to take care of people because we don't have children. We don't, this is our, like not baby, but it's like our, it's the thing that we are building not only just for ourselves, but for like our community around us. And we're hoping that us sticking around and us just powering through will be able to be something that, we gave like 12 high schoolers their first jobs in the whole time that we've been since we opened in 2013. And we have like more high schoolers working for us now than we've ever had like in our whole time that we've been in business. But it's been a good time for us to be able to like contribute to community in that way and build skill sets for these kids so that they can take it in whatever their next job's going to be. So I don't know. I think they're motivated by the people around me. I want to keep on doing what we're doing. We're supporting our parents. So, that's motivation too. This is the first year where I really felt like financially like, oh shit, we can breathe a little bit, like it can feel like there's I can take a deep breath and not have to stress out like, what else am I going to do for like I don't come up with things to solve a problem. It's more like we're growing because we want to, and it's not because we have to. So, so I guess that's the motivation underneath it all.
Right. And that's so beautiful to hear, because oftentimes people won't know what really keeps you going. And it's like, why do you go through, what is that? The schedule is so different. And unless somebody's in your shoes, they don't really understand. And I'm glad that you recognize how and what it feels like for you to keep going, to keep doing those 6 days, to be flexible with your schedule and be grateful for those times that you do have off and, you can breathe again. And what started off and what inspired you to become an entrepreneur?
It was in 2008 when the recession was really bad and a lot of people were getting laid off. I was working as a road manager for and an A&R for a music agency. They basically produce bands for special events. And it was a lot of high profile events. And I got to travel like 35 weeks out of the year with the bands. And but at the time, my boss had let go of someone who was like really integral in our office. We were running a tight ship. The ship was like running so well, but he decided to let someone go, and it wasn't necessarily, and it's mostly because of fear. This is at least from the position being in it at the time, in addition to like being a small business owner now. He was operating. From my observation, he was operating from a sense of fear of like, I don't know how business is going to be. I'm going to let someone go. And I'm like, but at the same time, the business was still there. The business was still working. So we still had to take on not only the added jobs or stuff that she was responsible for in her position, but also having to that morale of like, he's just letting someone go. It's just like, it just felt like I don't want someone to make that decision for me. I didn't want to like have my career be decided, which was not on a whim, but just like, by someone else. So that's part of the reason why that was the catalyst of me wanting to start my own business. But I've always wanted to start my own business. I've always wanted to start my own food-based business specifically because I was like a real estate agent before.
I love that.
Oh my God. Okay. Tea on that. Like, I'm not I'm a self-taught baker. I'm not a professional baker by any means. I've always wanted to own a food-based business. I love baking, but I also love helping customers. I love strategic planning. I love, how do we invest in tools to be able to for us to be better. So I love all the what encompasses about being an entrepreneur. But Spring Baking Championship, they were calling and asking, like, we're looking for people to audition for the Food Network, and then I was like, well, this will be good for this show. And then one of the producers asked, it's like, oh, so why do you want to be on the Spring Baking Championships? Like, well, I want to be on there to highlight Filipino flavors. And at the time, there weren't that many people there. I think there was only like one recipe that someone had done on the Food Network, but like, it's just like, oh, that's smart. So they had a storyline for me. So that's part of the reason why I got selected. But when I was against all of the competitors and I like knowing what everyone else could do and their skill, I was like, ooh, I shouldn't be here. So I really felt like, not imposter syndrome, because I felt like unworthy. I really was not technically able to keep up with them. And so the whole time I was like cussing. I was like, oh, fuck. Oh, shit. The whole time. And then I would I think it would have been good TV because I fell and then the camera panned, but I got up right quick and then I just kept on rocking and running around. So it was funny in the moment, and also being a part of it. It was a good experience. And since then I've been, offers like, oh yeah, you want to audition for this baking thing. And every single time I'm like, I don't know. Baking? No. Baking for me, it's like, I'll go. Like we actually wanted to go on Shark Tank and stuff, and I wanted anything having to do with baking specifically. No.
I see.
But if it was like they were doing a competition with businesses, like how to sell a product, like, oh yeah, I'd do that all day because I could sell food. Like I could go into someone's shop and like start selling their food right away. But when I was a real estate agent, I couldn't even sell houses. Like, I mean, I didn't have like the passion to sell a house. If like, here's a house, it's kind of wasn't like, it wasn't something I was motivated by. But food, I could get behind food because everyone eats food. It's not like something that's, even though you may not have had ube or you've never had, flan before, it doesn't mean that you may not rule it out. So I don't know. It's one of the, our heart-shaped ube creme caramels.
How was the taping with BuzzFeed?
Oh, that was fun.
Tasty.
So, one of our customers, she was a producer for, and I say was because she just more, she came from the reality show side of like what was that? So You Think You Can Dance. She was on like a producer for So You Think You Can Dance and America's Got Talent, and for a lot of those other reality shows. But this is the first time that she was doing something food related because she loves food too. And she was our customer for a while. And then she's like, when I my first story on BuzzFeed, I want to do a story with you because she's like, we don't do that many Filipino stuff. I don't think we've actually had anything like a Filipino recipe before. I'm like, oh, awesome. And I just love that, she gave me the opportunity because that I can do too. Because with preparation, I can act like I'm baking, so I can make it but it really fulfilled that's like a childhood dream. It's like to be like Julia Child or Yang Hang Cook. It's like, oh yeah, I'm teaching you how to cook. That part was like really fun for me. But that's how we got on it. But unfortunately, she's no longer with them again. So she went back to reality TV for. I don't know if she's working on it, but she was wonderful. She's been very, very, very kind. And we've been very lucky just getting in the pathway of people who are interested in telling our story. So like you were interested in, I think it's, what is it? Like attracts like, that you're giving out that energy that you want to support people and, and people gravitate to that. So we're thankful for that opportunity.
Thank you for sharing that. I loved that. I love that episode. So I didn't even know that was you. So, so my husband and I are big YouTube fans, and we're foodies too. So he happened to be watching, and then he's like going through. He goes, Isn't this your friend?" I was like, "Where?" And then I was like, and I wasn't sure about, right, because it was by accident. You find, what was the title? I made upside down ube cake by accident. I'm probably batching the tell me the title.
I accidentally made most, I don't even remember it.
Our most famous cheesecake
Yeah.
or pie. So anyway,
Yeah.
and I was like,
Yeah.
I haven't seen any Filipino food on Tasty. I was like, who is this chick? I was like, who is this? And then I played. I'm like, oh my God, it's Kristine. So I filmed it. I have it somewhere in my archives, but I wanted to share it with you. I was like, oh my God, just to share how proud I was of you. And I was waiting for you to post it so I could repost it to my community. And I'm just like so happy to see you on there, because I know how important it is to get our food out there and to have it mainstream. I just had Ginger on the show last week.
Yeah.
And, she was just really the same, right? We cook from, and both of you do. So like you put so much heart and love and culture and just everything that about the food that connects all of us.
Yeah.
And it's just really nice to see, even on Instagram, like there's stickers and gifts now with like Filipino food and our language. And I was like, wow, this is so great. And it took like all this time to get this to the space. So I really just commend you for showing up and continuing to share and to just be you and committing to your dream and your passion and your legacy. And it's just so beautiful to see. So I thank you.
No,
it lights me up, and I'm like, yeah.
Well,
I eat that too. So good. You don't even know.
Yeah,
the purple yam. Okay.
Yeah, it's. I mean, for a lot of our customers, we're the first time we've ever the first time they've ever tried anything Filipino like food or flavored is at our store. So it's such a that part really makes me feel like, oh man, yeah, like that's a. We got in their memory, their memory banks. Like, this is the first time I had Filipino food was at this store, so that part really makes me feel like, oh yeah. I mean, it's like a victory that, it's spreading one person at a time or, one group at a time. But I'm happy that we have that opportunity to be able to spread our culture through food.
How can we find you? How can we connect you? And how can we support you?
We are at 14849 Burbank Boulevard in Sherman Oaks. That's our main store. Although we will be moving literally around the corner. So we're still having that spot, but we'll be moving our retail hopefully by first quarter of next year. And then, but we're also have a pudding line in Whole Foods, select Whole Foods in the LA area. But you can also order online if you're in the Anaheim area. Just search on any of the third-party apps like Uber Eats and Postmates, same in Hollywood too. But also Dingleberry's on 3rd, and Ube Baby and Silver Lake both carry a number of our custard stuff. But for the most part, if you go to our website, cremecaramelLA.com, or just follow us on Instagram at creme_caramel_LA, you'll find out more information. My social media has been like, I'll get like 3 stories out. I'm like, yeah, I did something. And then I'm like 3 weeks, I'm like not doing anything. So
all good, sister.
It's a constant job. But your Instagram is so on point all the time. You always like have such motivating things. And, yeah, it's
thank
good.
you, sis. I appreciate you. And thank you for recognizing that, because, it ain't easy. Some days you're just like, and it's all good.
Nice that you make the
Thank you so much, Kristine, for being here with us.
Absolutely. I thank you for inviting me. Thank
you for being here with all of us, sharing your story. And I'm gonna bring you back, because something good and amazing always happens, and I always love to continue to support you. So I thank you, and I look forward to seeing you again.
I'll see you soon. And hopefully we'll see each other in real life one of these days.
Yes, very soon. Very soon. Thank you, sister.
All right. Take care, Kate. Bye.
See you. Thank you. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. If this episode brought you any kind of value, please share it with somebody you know and care about and love. And as always, I root for your rise. Have a good night, everybody. See you next week.
Anita Vita rise, yeah. Anita Vita rise, yeah. Anita Vita